What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video here, coming off a great weekend last time out at Kansas. Had Chase Elliott on the final card, big win. One of our only money line guys, actually. Chase Elliott, and then that Brad Keselowski top 10, which we put a hefty price tag on. So that was good. We had a great week. Hoping to back that up again. This is going to be sort of a shorter episode, just because, to be honest with you, I think, as we call intermediate style tracks in NASCAR, pretty cookie cutter, right? A lot of the same stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of the same stuff we've seen, at this weekend's road course at the Charlotte Roval, to what we've seen at most road courses this year. Same tire. We've seen it by now. It doesn't have a ton of wear. There's some fall off at certain types of tracks, but nothing crazy. SVG is going to be the guy that everybody is chasing, and rightfully so. He's won four of these things this year. The only road course he did not win was the very first one at COTA. Then, he's just been absolutely spectacular, pretty much untouchable. Now, he hasn't won at the Roval. He's only raced here twice, but didn't win the Xfinity Series race here. It was won by Mayer, and then Allmendinger actually finished second. And he had a top 10 run in Cup at the Roval, but wasn't a kind of a special player, if you will, like he's been this year at road courses. Now, before we get into the card, let's talk about our good friends over at Slice Vodka. I keep telling you guys that they're just getting bigger and bigger, and they're doing it right in front of my eyes, in front of your eyes. If you are in Rhode Island, get some Slice seltzer. It's a vodka-based seltzer, 100 calories, gluten-free, no sugar, no added sugar or sweeteners. It's just it's been my summer drink, and I know we're in October now, but that won't stop it being a drink for me. They just continue to grow and expand in Rhode Island, and we appreciate their partnership, and I'm excited to see them continue to grow along with this program, this channel, this show, and hopefully this sport, because NASCAR has had some rough goes at it in terms of TV ratings the last couple weeks now, really since the playoffs has started. So that's a story for another day. Maybe we'll get into it later on the channel, but. Let's talk about betting. Let's talk about the Charlotte Roval. Here is an update, and I think it's important to point this out because it's going to play a factor in, I think, how you want to attack this weekend. Ross Chastain is 13 points out of the final playoff spot. This is the final race in the round of 12. So minus 13 Chastain, minus 26 Bubba. Pretty much, I mean, based on his previous statistics at road courses, he's must win to me. Reddick minus 29. I mean, he's gonna have to be perfect. I would say essentially must win. And then Cindric minus 48. We've got Blaney and Elliott have clinched for via wins. Larson 54, Denny plus 48, Bell plus 44, William Byron plus 40. So those guys feel pretty good about where they're at. Even with a new winner, I think if those guys just kind of run top 15, they'll be just fine. Briscoe 21 to the good, and Logano is close. It's tight. It's 13 to the good for him. He is hoping that, either we get a non-playoff guy winning this race and points pretty much stay the same, or he's hoping that Reddick or Cindric, pretty much I feel like Reddick or Chastain don't somehow pull a rabbit out of a hat. Now, I don't think Ross can do it. But Reddick that's an interesting one because I think, we have thought of Reddick being a top tier elite road course racer. He hasn't really shown it this year, but, historically, this guy can win road course races. So Logano is hoping that he can gain some ground on Briscoe, but also, have a steady day and hope one of those guys beneath him do not win. So, yeah, look, let's start with the fact that SVG is going to be the play for most people. He's only led 21 laps here, but he did win the pole. So one race, starting position of one. He's got a 107.6 driver rating, which is only second to, or which is second to only AJ Allmendinger, who, has just been elite at this track. I like to call the Xfinity race. I called it for a while the AJ Allmendinger Invitational. Sorry, I'm trying to get DraftKings up so I can get the most up to date lines for you all. But the AJ Allmendinger Invitational was the for a while the Xfinity race at the Charlotte Roval. He was just unbeatable, untouchable. But now there's this guy named SVG who is here who has been better than him. AJ Allmendinger has not been good at road courses this year, guys. The numbers tell you he's not been good. But I do think I do think he's a play here. I think he's a play. I think he's a play for a top five. I think he's a play for a top 10. I think he's a play for an outright at 16 to 1. Overall, I feel like there's a little bit of a chip on Allmendinger's shoulder right now to kind of have a resurgence to show, hey, I'm still here too. And now he's coming at a track where he has so much experience. He knows what the car needs to do. So to me, Allmendinger is one that I'm going to have on my final card at 16 to 1. SVG. Oh my goodness. Minus 105 to win at the Roval. Oh my gosh, he's minus 400 for a top three. This is so frustrating because essentially it's like, the field is there. You want to take the field, but he's just been so good at road courses. He hasn't lost since like March on one. Um, I'll give you some guys that I like. I do like Larson here. I'll tell you why. Because first of all, he's had a win here in next gen, albeit a few years ago, but he has had a win here. On top of that, you've got a guy, or yeah, you've got a guy who's plus 54 points to the good. If he just has a good first stage, like a good first stage, maybe even a good second stage, I mean, he's going to be clinched, and then he can change his strategy a little bit. A guy like Logano, Briscoe, they're going to be racing for points. Byron for points. Bell, maybe a stage or two for points. The guy like Larson and Hamlin, I think, can clinch maybe with like two good stages. Larson definitely. So Larson to me at plus 850, a guy who's won here, a guy who's good at road courses, a guy that's trying to have a good like a killer stellar race, which I don't know, he hasn't shown me in a while, basically since the Coke the pretty much I guess before the Coke 600 that he's a top guy right now. And that team, yes, they have speed, but they're up and down. They're kind of inconsistent. So to me, this is a get right race for Larson. And again, at plus 850, he should be on your card for a guy that's won here before. Hendrick, we know, they're always going to be good at road course races. And and overall, again, if he has that good first stage, he no longer needs to worry about points. He can finish that. I mean, I think you also have to look at some of these guys below the cut line. I think you have to look at a guy like McDowell at 30 to 1. I think you have to look at a guy like Ty Gibbs at 25 to 1. At Allmendinger, like I mentioned, at Busher at 20 to 1. I mean, these are guys that are going to be totally, you know, running a totally different strategy, only in it for the win. Points mean nothing to any of these guys. They mean absolutely nothing. So to me, I'm looking at some of those guys as well. I like William Byron for a top five, maybe even a top three, just because again, um, he's been speedy on road courses, and he can also he can do what, in my opinion, whatever he really wants because he's 40 points to the good. He's a guy that could win here. Like Larson, I think he can probably play maybe one or two stages getting points, and then he's going to go for the win. And to me, he's been one of the more consistent guys at road courses this season. You look at a guy like Bell, he's been in that loop. Ty Gibbs is another guy that's been in that loop. Chase Elliott has been consistent. But Kyle Busch has been hit or miss. Kyle Larson has kind of been hit or miss. Denny Hamlin, you've seen some speed, and then other tracks you haven't seen it. Ryan Blaney is another guy who had a great run at Watkins Glen, but, up and down, like doesn't always have it. But he is clinched. Chase Elliott is clinched as well. The reason I would fade both those guys because the emphasis and effort is going to be around Cindric and Logano from a Penske standpoint, and all the other Hendrick guys from a Hendrick standpoint. Now I know that Larson and Byron, as I mentioned, are in really good point spots. But I think it's like Elliott's going to kind of be out of the way. Now, what would help those guys if Elliott happened to win again, then again, nobody below the cut line would move up. But I think the points situation for those guys is just so they're in a great spot, quite frankly. But again, I think what was it? Was it Mexico City where Byron ran like one lap and then he was out and that was it? So got to be careful there. You don't want to just have a DNF by any means, but I think these guys are just looking to run clean. And I think Larson's going to run clean in stage one, and then he'll be out there for the win, as well as William Byron. So those are guys that I'm going to have on my card. I like Byron for a top five. I like Larson for the outright. I like Allmendinger for the outright as well, as I mentioned at 16-1. And I think it's going to come down to, do I have SVG on the card minus 105? I mean, is it just your safe bet? Is it you put $200 down, essentially okay with making about 185 or whatever it is, and saying, hey, I'm gonna throw some 20s on Larson and Allmendinger and maybe even a guy like McDowell at 30-1, and that's where you kind of play for some of those heavier wins where you're kind of consistent in saying, hey, if SVG takes it down, at least I'll break even or maybe net it a little bit. That's what I've kind of done in terms of an approach the last two, I would say, post this surge from SVG. But you know where to find the final card. It's on Action Network at Johnny on the Track. It's on X at JOTT_podcast. Want to know what you guys think? How are you approaching this week? I think it's going to be an interesting one. Again, based on some of these, last minute, who gets in, who gets out in the playoffs. This race is always kind of entertaining. The racing isn't good, but just like those middle tier battles are entertaining. And again, some of these road course aces like a McDowell, like an Allmendinger, they've got nothing to lose now. It's all just win at all costs for guys like them, in different styles for some of these playoff guys. But again, want to know what you guys think. Put your thoughts in the comment section down below. Give this video a like, goes a long way for the channel, and hit that subscribe button down below to stay updated on great motorsports content. We'll see you next time, and let's go win some money.